Today I want to focus on trying to get the body kit off the car, and really it's just to replace all the fasteners that hold the body kit to the fenders and the bumpers and things. So basically a lot of them are rusting and a lot of them are spinning out, and I want to replace those with some stainless steel hardware. And right now they're installed with rivnuts, and I want to replace all those with well nuts that will help also seal the holes that we drill into the body and give us a solution that'll be easily removable. I think it'll benefit us into the future, being able to take the body kit off the car, whether we're trying to do maintenance on the car or trying to get the car up on jack stands or whatever we're going to do. I think the body kit will need to come off several times throughout the rebuild process. So I've got all my tools and things out that I think I'm going to try to remove the rivnuts. Traditionally, you just drill them out if you can. And that's going to be okay for the fenders and the bumpers and things, where once we drill the rivnut out and it falls out, then we'll just be able to, it'll fall to the ground, or we'll be able to get it out. But the ones that are in the, the side skirts, or maybe even some that go up over the rear fender, that if we were to drill them out, they're just going to fall inside the body and basically be stuck in there forever. So I originally thought that all the rivnuts that we had on here were some sort of alloy or aluminum, but I did actually have one of the rivnuts fall out. And I just took a magnet to it, and sure enough, they are magnetic. So we might be able to come up with some sort of a system that, place a magnet under the hole and then maybe fish it out later or fish them out later. But they are actually steel, or have at least some steel in them. So that could be a good thing for us, but it'll make drilling them out a little bit more difficult as well. I do have some cutoff tools and some things like that, and a grinder that we can try as well. But some of the screws themselves are going to be difficult to get out because they're rusty and they're spinning out inside the rivnut. So some of them are probably going to have to get cut off anyway, or maybe I can pry against the rivnut and try to get some traction on getting those backed out. So yeah, that's today's goal, is to try to get the body kit off and then replace them with all the fasteners. So like 90% of the comments, if not more, on the previous video were directed towards the paint job on this car. So I just wanted to get a few things out there. One, yes, the paint job that's on the car is not the best, but that's kind of not the point right now. We have more important things that we need to deal with. Long term, I will be changing the color on this car. I don't specifically like red, and this red is actually, it really pops when it gets out in the sunlight. It has a lot of pearl kind of metallic flake in it. So it actually it's an okay red. I actually prefer the stock RX-7 red color, but anyway, long term, this is not the color I'm going to get the car, and I will take it to a professional shop and have them take out the dents and dings and straighten it out. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time correcting the body right now, because I'll let somebody that knows how to do that better than I do take care of it. So for now, we're going to be focusing more on the drivetrain, the mechanical stuff. And yes, today's video is about taking off the wide body kit, but really that's just because I think long term that's what we need to do. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because I don't want this video to end up having 100% of the comments about the paint job, and we get it, there's orange peel and things like that, and again, it is what it is. But it's fully painted. I'm not worried about rust spots or anything like that. And I did have to clean the car a couple of times now, and yes, there are a few things that we could do to make it look nice, but it's not worth my time. I've got a lot of other things to do, and so anyway.
What we do here is go back.
I've gotten all the fasteners out of the spoiler here, but it will not come loose. So I'm not sure if it's bonded with the paint. It's possible that double-sided tape was used to attach this. So I've just got some fishing line. I'm gonna try to work it under the edge and see if we can pull it through and see what exactly it might be stuck on. Yeah, I definitely think there's some sort of a double-sided tape holding this guy on. So I'm gonna try to fish this line through here, see if we can cut through that double-sided tape. So that ended up being way more involved than I had hoped. We ended up with one screw and riv nut that are spinning out on the passenger side, and then we have 3 down here in the side skirt that are spinning out. So the rear wing was definitely stuck on there with some double-sided tape. Just using that fishing line and kind of flossing it back and forth through there. We ended up cutting our way through, it's definitely going to be a mess that's going to have to be cleaned up, but we'll do that another day. I use 15-pound test line. I don't know if that would work any better than 20-pound test line, but I definitely went through a few yards of it. So just a quick tip, if you ever need to remove a panel like that, is use that fishing line. I'm going to go ahead and try to drill out the one that's on the driver's side. That one was actually, I thought to be able to wiggle that one out. It's catching every once in a while, but I think there's enough rust between the screw and the riv nut that I just can't back it out. So the ones down here are very loose. I think that when the car was shipped to me, there must have been some sort of impact, or they scraped this whole side and caused some more issues and pulling maybe on these rib nuts. So these here are actually quite loose, and actually one of them just kind of fell out, which was the one I showed you that they're actually made out of some sort of steel instead of aluminum. So I'm gonna get my drill set up. I'm gonna go ahead and drill that one out over there. I'm not gonna set the camera up for it because it's just a bad angle. And when we get back over here, I'll show you how that works. I know it'll be difficult because the riv nut will want to, and the screw will want to spin with the drill. So I might have to try to get in there and try to hold it. I do have some cut-off tools I can use, but for now I'm gonna see if the drilling works. So the screw on that side drilled out way too easy. I'm thinking all my luck is gonna run out after that one. So what I've got is, I've got a drill bit that's slightly, well, it's basically the same diameter as the screws, maybe a little bit more. And that one was actually, I was able just to drill straight in. It didn't spin, drilled until the head popped off basically. So I'm gonna try that with these 3. I'll try to go in first straight and see if I can just drill them out that way. If not, I'll have to maybe come in at a slight angle and try to catch it and drill it out a couple different ways. But basically you're just wanting to drill deep enough to get past the head of the screw. And then once you've gotten through the head of the screw and where this drill bit is just a little bit slightly larger than the diameter of the screw, the head will basically just pop off. So of course you want to wear gloves and eye protection. There will be some little metal shavings come flying off, so I definitely be careful. And those shavings will be extremely hot, so you make sure you don't get them on your, pick them up or get them on your arm or whatever. So I'm gonna adjust the camera so that you can get a better view of what I'm doing, and I will try to remove these 3 screws. I now have all the wide body kit off the car. In that last shot, when I was pulling the drill away, I was dipping the drill bit in cutting fluid. I actually burned through one of the first drill bit I was using, so I was trying to go slower, and using that cutting fluid would help it cut and keep the temperatures down a little bit. So anyway, got all those cut off. The screws are sticking out a little bit. We'll have to get those cut out eventually, but now that I can at least access the riv nut, I should be able to hold the riv nut and try to screw that screw back out. So I'll squirt some PV blaster on those. Maybe that'll help loosen them up enough to make it easier to pull out. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those that I've got to get. So now comes the really sucky part, and that's going to be cutting out and drilling out all of these riv nuts. And I believe, if I counted correctly, there are 75 of them on this car, so it is going to take a while. So we've got kind of two scenarios. We've got the riv nuts that are basically, you can access the backside. So really the front bumper, the front fenders, those will be easy because we can either drill them out from the front and just let them fall out, or we can grip them and cut out, grind off the front. So we have options for getting the ones out of the front fenders and out of the front bumpers. Now, the ones in these rear fenders are going to be a pain in the balls to try to get out. They are going to be trapped, so we could just drill them out and let them fall inside, and maybe they rattle or get stuck down in there. So I mean, that'd be the easy way. If we want to try to get those extracted out, we'll have to find a way to get those out. Either hold on to them from the backside or use a magnet or something. So I'm going to experiment and see what works best, whether it's drilling them out or using my cutoff tools or grinder if we need to. But yeah, so the ones in the trunk lid should be ones we can just drill out and let them fall inside the car. So really, it's just going to be a handful of them on each side that are going to be really painful to remove. So let me get a few of these cut out, and once I come up with a good method for both situations, I'll turn on the camera and we'll go through what I think will be the easiest way to remove these. Once we have them all removed, then basically it'll be re-drilling. I think the well nuts I have require a 3/8 inch hole, so I've got a step drill bit. I'll drill those out. But for now, let me get started on trying to get some of these riv nuts removed. So the ones that are, you can access the backside, they're really easy to remove. So on these, what I'm doing is just taking a drill bit that's relatively larger than the actual the shaft of the riv nut, and just going really slow and not applying a lot of pressure, and letting the drill bit itself kind of do the work. Now, if you push too hard, you will spin the riv nut out. So you may need a pair of pliers or vice grips or something to hold it from the backside. But basically, I go nice and slow till the outer ring pops off. And then typically the inside piece will usually still be stuck in there, but just take a screwdriver, just kind of pry it out. So let me drill these out, but these go really quickly. I was able to do the other fender in just a couple minutes. So let me zoom in on some of these and get these drilled out. So as you saw from the time lapse, it really is very easy to remove these when they're exposed. I did have one slip right here, and as you saw, I was able to clamp onto it with the vice grips and not really have any issues. with getting that out. So I've got these out. I've got them out on the other side. The front bumper will be very similar. The rear hatch will be the same. Just basically I'll open that hatch and catch them and get them from the inside. Probably about 4 or 5 of the ones in each of the rear panels, I'll be able to pull that interior trim off from inside the hatch area and actually be able to reach in there and get those. But there's probably 3 or 4 that I won't be able to do that, and then of course the ones on the side. So honestly, as easy as these were to drill out, I may elect just to drill those out and let those fall inside the body. I was trying to avoid having any kind of rattle or any kind of noise and just leaving anything in there like that. So but given all the options that I would have to try to remove those, I think that's by far going to be the easiest way to handle that, because I was hoping I'd be able to cut them just enough and pull them out through the hole, but I'd have to create a large hole to do that, and they'd probably end up falling off anyway. So for now, I'm just going to leave them alone. Maybe when I drill the 3/8 inch holes for the well nuts, then I'll be able to use a magnet and maybe fish those back through. So for now, I'm just going to continue and do all that, and well, not for tonight. It's actually getting pretty late tonight, so I'm actually going to go ahead and clean up, and I'll come back out tomorrow and try to wrap this up. So but that's the plan. I'll just go ahead and drill all of them out just like I did these fenders, and the ones I can get out in the back, I'll definitely do that. The ones that happen to fall inside, I'll see if I can try to fish those back through with a magnet later on. But yeah, so that's pretty easy. I was afraid it was actually going to be a lot harder than it was. That metal is pretty soft. And like I said, the trick is really going nice and slow and just letting the drill bit do the work. If you try to push too hard, you'll spin the riv nut, or when it does come through, you'll jam the drill bit through, and you might damage something on the other side. So anyway, I'll be back out tomorrow, and I'll try to get the rest of these out, and then we'll go ahead and start drilling these out for the well nuts.